Okay, sisters, I'm here. I'm so excited about this live. Like, I think I posted like maybe 20 or 30 minutes ago that I was gonna go live, and I don't know why I said I was gonna go live at 4 o'clock because I was so excited. So I've literally just been sitting here like, should I just start it? Shouldn't I? I was like, I said 4 o'clock, but I want to do it earlier. So it was this whole thing, but anyway, I'm here now. Yes, I'm so excited. If you're here watching the replay, please do comment. I always love to know that people are actually getting the content that I'm putting out, like even amongst all of the algorithms and everything crazy going on Facebook, you're still seeing my stuff. So if you're here watching the replay, please comment, do hashtag replay, maybe let me know where you're tuning in from. It's always interesting to see where in the world we're connecting from. And if you're watching the live, I would also love for you to say hello. Hi Jess, thank you so much for joining me. Yay! Okay, I'm really excited because this is such a funny topic because, I mean, okay, two things about me. Like, you often hear me talk about like the two aspects of myself, and I probably have like multiple aspects of myself. But there's that one aspect of myself who totally knows that I'm always on a growth journey, and there's never going to be a time that I'm 100% perfect, and I love that because learning is actually one of my favorite things. Like, I love leveling myself. I love learning new things. I love sharing what I learn with other people. As you know, like, I often go live about something that I've just learned because I'm really excited to share it. A couple of years ago when I learned about the Myers-Briggs type indicator, I was like so pumped about that, which I should do another live about that because that was really interesting. The human design that I talked about recently, like, I just learned about that, and I was just sharing everything I learned because I really love learning and seeing how it like all fits in. And I think that's one of the things I love about learning as well, is that as I'm learning like different dynamics or aspects or variations of everything that this world has to offer us, I can see how it all fits in as well. So it's a really interesting process for me. So there's definitely that aspect of myself that knows, hi Victoria, thank you for joining, that I'm always going to keep learning. I'm never going to be perfect. And I also know that something like self-sabotage doesn't just go away one day when you know it's there. And then for some reason, this other side of me, which is obviously like an aspect that needed more growth, like started crawling its way through to the surface and somehow convincing me that I was like bulletproof to self-sabotage because I already knew all about it, and I knew the signs, and I knew how it came up in my life, so I was all good, didn't need to worry about it, wouldn't happen to me. And so at the start of the year, like, I definitely had a really different experience because normally in the new year, like literally January 1st, I'm like pumped, I'm ready to go, like I'm just doing so much stuff because I'm so excited with the new energy. Like, I always really feel that energy of a new year, so I'm getting lots done. And this year I've had a different transition, but I knew it was a good thing. So at the start it wasn't, like when I was first transitioning, like the first couple of weeks of New Year's, it definitely wasn't a self-sabotage thing. It was just because this year my feminine aspects of myself are being activated a lot more, so it's also for me a little bit less hustle, hi Connie, and a little bit more just, working from an inspired space rather than a space where I feel like I have to work, otherwise I won't achieve what I want to achieve, because I know that I still will obviously be able to manifest the things that I'm working towards. So there was that aspect, but then I hit a spot where I knew I hit this spot because I hadn't spent enough time on my own. I'm one of those people that can like do like 60-40, like 60% of the time I'm okay being around people and socializing and entertaining and whatever, and 40% of the time I need to be in solitude and just like with my own thoughts and kind of just doing nothing and just like having that feeling of knowing there's nowhere that I need to be. So there was just like a moment where I literally just went over the top of, like, probably since like November or so I've been constantly with people, and I just hit a moment where I needed a few days out. And then around that time as well, I like got this massive breakout, which like sometimes I get like little hormonal things, but yeah, anyway, like it's healing up now, but it was pretty horrendous. Like, I haven't had anything like that since I was younger, and it was also not younger, but like a couple of years ago, because I don't know, for those of you that have known me for a long time know that I struggled a lot with skin due to a lot of my digestive issues that I had, and it took me a long time to heal. So it was also bringing up all of these emotions of how you know, I felt embarrassed. I felt people would judge me, particularly because I feel like when you're like someone who's an expert in health, and you can very clearly see on your skin that something's off balance, I know other people probably don't think that, but it was bringing up those emotions for me that I felt a few years ago when I really struggled a lot with my skin. So I was like, oh my god, I can't go live, like no one's gonna take me serious. And then, and yeah, it was not only that, because this is the part that I want to really highlight, because if you're experiencing something similar, like it might be coming up with a different aspect, which I'm going to cover more in a minute, like how does it actually show up and blah, 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 blah. I'll talk about that more in a minute, but just to share this story, what was happening in my head is the part that was like, either like the best part or the worst part, I don't know, but I was telling myself that it was not, like, because it crossed my mind, am I self-sabotaging? Because at the start of the year, I got told so clearly with my intuition that 2018 is my biggest year yet. This is the year of quantum leaping for me. This is the year where I'm going to reap all the work that I've been putting in for 6 years. And I'll share more of my story with you guys. Some of you already know a little bit of my story, but I've had a lot of up and downs in my entrepreneurial journey. In my mind, mostly all up, because I believe like everything happens for a reason, like, and a good reason, and good things are always happening to me. However, there's been a lot more sowing and less reaping, let's just say, for some aspect of my entrepreneurial journey. For a long time it had been, and this year is just like the year that it's all gonna like explode. And I just had this like such a strong feeling, and like intuitives that I went to, and like friends that, you know, could sense the same thing. So it was like really exciting, and I knew it was going to take a specific level of my aspect, and I already knew who that version of myself was. Like, I'm quite good friends with that aspect of myself. I often ask her questions of what I should be doing, but what I noticed over the past couple of weeks is that I was hearing what I should be doing, but I wasn't doing it because I always had an excuse. And this mental talk, please like give me some hearts, or type in the comments as well if this is resonating with you, like if you've ever felt anything like this, because I'm sure I'm not alone in this. And then I was telling myself, this is definitely not self-sabotage though, because I know all about self-sabotage. I know because I read the book, I have put it into practice, and I've overcome massive aspects of how I used to self-sabotage. For example, I used to self-sabotage by getting sick, to the point where I was literally getting sick like once a month for like a few days. And it was like, when I realized that I was actually at a Tony Robbins event back in 2013, and I realized like how badly I was self-sabotaging myself by getting sick. And I kid you not, I've been sick like maybe twice since 2013, since I like made that mental shift. So it's like, because I had such a win with overcoming self-sabotage, I guess a part of myself thought I couldn't be affected by it as badly anymore. And that's hilarious looking at it now, because obviously you can be, and self-sabotage is sneaky. It comes up in ways that you don't expect it. And for me, it was coming up with my naivety towards it. And so there was this whole thing, and then it was like I could feel like that part of myself that's like, you know, knows better, being like, no, Viola, like you are self-sabotaging. But I was like, no, but seriously, like what am I gonna do? Like go like put on heaps of makeup and go live? And then I was like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. And then the other things were, it's like I knew all these things, and like in the moment I have so much inspiration that I want to share with people, but then it's like, oh, I don't really know like how I'd phrase that, or if I go live, like what am I going to call the live video? And I know these things sound freaking ridiculous. Like as I'm saying them, I'm like, I cannot even believe that I possibly bought into this, but whatever, I'm human. Other things that I was thinking is like, I wanted like a really stylish Instagram theme. And I was like, I don't like that mine's just random photos. Like, why don't I have a really cool theme like all the other cool people I follow? So I guess that was in a way like I was kind of judging myself and like comparing myself, which is also like a no-go for happiness, right? Things I preach about, teach about, and somehow they've still found their way back into my life. And the purpose of why this is so important to understand is because we need to constantly be students, and we constantly need to be fully aware of how different things are going on, happening in our lives, because when you overcome something once, it doesn't mean you've overcome it for good. Hi Anna, thank you so much for joining. And in terms of, oh wait, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so these things might come up multiple times in our life, and so it was like this whole thing. So I was like not adding the value that I knew I should be doing, because that higher aspect of myself was like, you need to be adding value to people. And then there was like that aspect of myself that was like, oh, I'm not really self-sabotaging. Am I self-sabotaging? I don't really know. And then there's this aspect of myself as well that was just like, why am I like not really like, you know, the first couple weeks in the year were really like quite successful for me. Like I booked heaps of clients and like had, I don't know, so much stuff happening, and the last couple of weeks have been more like, meow, meow. And so I've been like, oh, you know, I need, like, why is it not happening? And it wasn't like really a massive thought, like I wasn't really buying into it too much, because it's only been a couple of weeks and it's normal for things to go in waves, but part of me was still like, ugh. And then I was like, I think I actually saw a quote or something on Facebook yesterday, and I was just like, I think it like wormed its way into the back of my mind until today when I finally like realized it. But it was like, you can't play the game from the sidelines. Anna says, they always find their way back, those thoughts and stuff, don't they? And you're so right, you have to keep overcoming. Yeah, absolutely. Awareness is so key. Agree, these thoughts are sneaky. Yes, they are. And so, yeah, you can't play from the sidelines. And it's like, if there's something that you want to do, if you want to win at the game of life, if you want to like create success in what it is you're wanting to create success in, if you're wanting to have that feeling of fulfillment, you've got to be in the freaking game. You've got to be in like the water. It's like, you know, the taking that leap of faith. It is so true. It's like this analogy where it's like, if you expect that you can create the highest level of achievement and success and happiness and fulfillment for yourself, let alone how you can impact other people, it's like you can't do that with one toe in the lake, right? You've got to be full in, like literally so in that there's no question as to whether or not you're in the game or not. And with just like one little big toe in, that's never gonna happen. And it's like that whole concept as well. It's like, you know, how many times have you read a book to help yourself? Like, I don't know, like for example, a financial self-help book. Like how many times have you read a financial self-help book, or a motivation book, or a self-belief book, or a, I don't know, whatever book? You've read this book and you're like, oh my god, it makes so much sense, and you're like totally like resonating with everything that it's saying, or you're watching these lives and you're like, yes, 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 like about everything, and then you're just like, cool, and you might like maybe like apply one thing once, and then you're like, why is my life not changed? Like, why am I not a millionaire, and why have I not got a friggin' wait list of clients right now? And why? Is because you're on the freaking sidelines. Like, if you want the results, and this is why you hear those freaking success stories. This is why you hear, I read this book and it changed my life. I read this book and I went from 10K a month to 100K a month, or a year, or whatever, right? It's like, these success stories come because some people read the book and they're one toe in. They're like, I'm here, you know, I'm playing around a little bit, but I'm not really gonna jump in, because what's the point in jumping in, getting all wet, the water might be cold, whatever, if I can experience it from here with my toe just in the water. Anna says, P.S. nice leopard print top. Yeah, I know, I was really feeling this today. It must be this like energy, and it's actually a dress and I'm wearing it over track pants. But I figured that I only need to look good from the like waist up, because yeah, the whole life thing. Don't ask. The things you do when you work from home, right? Anyway, so how you jump full in, like how you're going to experience that success and that fulfillment, is if every single aspect of what you're learning, it's like you do the work. You don't buy a book and expect the author to suddenly make you rich. The author is facilitating a way to create the space for you to create the awareness that you need and do the action, get the things done that need to be done in order to have the result that you're craving, right? That you want. And it's not going to happen with one toe in. You've got to literally run, jump into the water, and it's gonna be freaking cold at first. Like when we first started swimming at the beginning of summer, like we started, because I was having a real hard time getting in the water, just like walking in, because as soon as I feel the cold, I'm like, ugh, this is awful. So what we would do is we would like walk down the wharf and we would jump in. And obviously you don't feel the water before you jump in, and it's a really nice hot day, so it's all good. But you'd literally jump in, and this actually particularly happened when we went swimming like at some waterfall in this like crazy amazing place in Auckland. Anyway, the water was so cold that when you jump in, you're literally going like, do you guys know that feeling? Like when it's so cold you can't even get your breath? And so we like jump in and you like get this feeling and you're like, I don't know, you can't even handle it or whatever. You feel like, oh my god, this was a stupid idea. Why did I do that? And you have this little freak out panic attack. And then you just like start moving your arms and you start doing the work and you start like maybe float on your back. I don't know, whatever you want to do in the water, playing around with your friends. And suddenly the water warms up, your body adjusts, it's awesome. And you're like fully in this pool of awesomeness that is exactly where you need to be to get the results that you want, right? Just as magic doesn't happen from your comfort zone. Absolutely. And I mean, it's such a simple concept. It's not that hard to get your head around. But you know what? This is the thing. The reason I wasn't moving forward is because there's a part of me, I don't think I've shared this before, but there's a part of me that actually doesn't want to be as good as I can be. And now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm actually like, well, actually, that's everyone, because that's part of why we self-sabotage, because we don't want to be the best version of ourselves for many, many reasons. Like, if you want to know more about this, here's the book that I recommend for you. It is called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and it is probably one of my all-time favorite books. I recommend it to most of the people I work with, because once you can get your head around this concept, not for life, by the way, you have to keep monitoring yourself, as I found out, and once you can get your head around this concept, things become so much easier, okay? But I can tell you what, like, I don't want to be the best version of myself, because there's parts of me that are scared that the people that I love most, that maybe aren't accelerating at the same rate as I am, I'll grow apart from, and I won't resonate with them, and whatever, like, I don't know. But there's a part of me that feels like if I grow too much, I'll leave behind the people I love, and that freaking scares the shit out of me, because my family and the people that I love in my life mean everything to me. Family and connection are one of my highest values, like literally right up there with everything, which is why like I spend a shitload of time with my family. And like obviously Nick, my husband, like I love spending time with him, and there's a part of me that fears that. Now when I called that fear out for what it was, when I discovered it maybe a month or so ago, I felt an instant aspect of relief, because what I was so clearly told in that moment is that by stepping up, I will not separate myself from those people, but I will show them how it's done and give them the courage and the self-belief that they also can. And I was like, wow, that is so freaking profound. And I was like, you know, again, I was like on top of the world, and I'm like, suss this one, not gonna bother me again. And then what do you know? I was faced with this feeling of knowing that if I was gonna step up into my highest self, it was gonna require me to grow, and it was gonna be out of my comfort zone. Yeah, totally, it is deep. It's a deep conversation, and it's like, it's crazy why we have these like self-limiting thoughts, right? And usually it's like the opposite of what's gonna cause it. You know what I mean? Like you're probably gonna have more of a risk of like growing apart from people that you're close with if you're just like stagnant, versus if you're growing and evolving, you're like inspiring and motivating each other. But it's like this whole process of me having so much value to share, you know, like I've written up a whole plan of like what I want to create this year and how I want to help people and who I specifically want to work with. And every time that I'd gone to like execute one of those things, I felt this fear. And it's because it brings up fear for me to be vulnerable all the time. And it brings up fear for me to commit to coming on live, even if my face decides to have a breakout for no freaking reason, which is probably, like, I'm realizing now was probably a self-sabotage move. Like, that's why I cannot figure out a cause for it. And it's like, I don't know, it's just like this pain almost. Like, it sounds so odd, but there is so much fear, I guess, and pain, and like this process of moving past my comfort zone. And I love moving out of my comfort zone. Like, I've gotten used to getting comfortable with the uncomfortable in my journey, and it's something I've never really been afraid of. But there's aspects of myself that still hurt me, and, like, you know, I'm afraid to uncover. And that's why I've also been finding so much healing as well from going through Gabby Bernstein's Judgment Detox. For any of you who saw my post on my public page yesterday, you know, I'm finding a lot of healing with this book, and I think it's part of the reason why I'm, like, more easily picking myself back up now, because I'm realizing where a lot of that comes from. So it's really, yeah, it's interesting. It's awesome. But yeah, so Anna, Mimi, we already will be, yay, me too, yeah. So so that's really it. Like, it's not an easy job to firstly become aware of where you're friggin' self-sabotaging yourself. Like, it's not an easy job, because self-sabotage can come up in so many ways, and this is what that book, The Big Leap, is so good for, because it covers it. But here's ways that self-sabotage might be coming up in your life through a skin breakout, or getting sick, any kind of sickness. And I know this, or accident, as a matter of fact. I know this sounds really crazy, because you're like, I'm sure I just got sick, like, it's the weather's cooling down, and, like, I've spent all this time with kids. Or like an accident, you're like, I did not attract an accident into my life to self-sabotage. You're crazy sauce. But no, yeah, you did, because everything in our reality is a manifestation of our thoughts, of our beliefs, and of what level we believe we deserve to be experiencing life. So I know that sometimes can sound a little bit harsh, particularly if you're going through something that's a little bit hard. But the good news is that if we can manifest our way into those situations, we can manifest our way out of those situations. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for joining. And so those are two ways that they show up. How I would recommend you create awareness around whether or not you're self-sabotaging in those areas is, do those things happen in line with opportunity or growth? So when you've just been given an opportunity, or when you've just had an opportunity to grow in your life, or you've just had a really brilliant idea, or you've come across this book where the concepts totally are, like, changing your life, or anything like that, are those self-sabotage things happening in conjunction with that? If they are, they're probably self-sabotage. Other ways, bickering and arguing are ways that we self-sabotage. And this is one that I was like, at the start, I was like, I don't understand, like, how possibly this is, but it's all around the energy that it creates. And what we find is, normally when we bicker and argue with people, we see people as not doing enough, or not doing the right things, or whatever it is, you know, which is usually why bickering starts. You know, if, like, someone, like, didn't put away the dishes, or someone said something annoying, or whatever, like, they're these little things, right? They're not really, like, that important, but we feel like they're, like, the most important thing ever in the moment. When we see someone else as not doing the right things and as like, holy or whatever, it's because we at that moment do not feel that in ourselves. So a really good check-in is, in the morning you can say, like, what stuff am I actually feeling today? And if the stuff that you're feeling is like, I'm really feeling like I haven't been doing enough, then be mindful of that, because what might happen is suddenly your partner or your business partner or whoever is suddenly not doing enough, and it is actually...
I was going to say...
Say hi to my husband.
Hi.
Hi.
You look cute.
Thank you. Sorry for that PDA. Sorry, not sorry. Huh? Toby, yeah, matching Toby right now. Chantel says, I find when I'm stressed and run down, I get unwell. Yeah, totally. And like going back to what I learned about human design like a while ago, it's like there's specific types as well that really need a lot more rest as well, and we need that self-care, right? It's so important because we're more vulnerable when we're run down. But yeah, so be careful that, or actually, if you notice yourself getting annoyed at someone or bickering about something, like have a little bit of a self-check-in and ask yourself, where in your own self do you see what you're seeing in someone else right now? Okay? So the classic example of me is like, it's like a classic pattern is I'll like, ask my partner, like Nick, I'll be like, what have you been doing like for the business or whatever, when I feel like I haven't been doing enough. And it's like, shame, and now he's gonna hear that and use it against me. Just joking, I'm trying to get rid of that anyway. So those are like different ways that it comes up. Like, I'm just trying to think of any other ways. I can't think of anything else right now that it might come up. Oh, distractions as well. Like, for example, a classic one is if you're like, like, okay, I just got this great idea, I'm gonna sit down, and you like go to sit down and like execute the idea, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I might just do the dishes quickly, and then before you know it, you've like distracted yourself into your next appointment or whatever, and that free time that you'd actually set aside for you creating whatever it is you need to create, you've now filled with a distraction. So distractions are another way that we self-sabotage. So being completely mindful of that, create awareness. Like, I highly recommend that book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Creating awareness around where you might be self-sabotaging, and then sometimes the best way to overcome it is literally by taking action, and that's what's recommended. You know, like if you notice yourself self-sabotaging, take at least one action that can move you in the right direction of your goals or whatever it is. And Gay Hendricks, actually, I wrote it down because it's so awesome. It's like an affirmation that he recommends you use, and it is, I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. How awesome is that? I'll say it again. I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. So that's a great affirmation you can use for your own expansion in life. And yeah, I think that was all that I wanted to talk about. If you guys have more questions about this, though, definitely do let me know in the comments, because I would love to hear your experiences with this. Any questions that you have or anything else you'd like to share, I'd so appreciate it. Like I said at the start of the video, I would so appreciate it if you guys do comment and let me know if you are watching it, because at this stage, I'm not really sure how many people are seeing my content. Firstly, seeing my content because of all the Facebook algorithms, but then secondly, finding it valuable. And you can always feel free to request topics as well if there is anything you'd like to learn more about. I'm more than happy to talk about many topics. So thank you so much for joining me live and on the replay. Mwah! I will talk to you again soon. Bye!